I'm Dave Jones.
So let's talk a little about what your goals were heading into this new game.
Goals of this new game was to bring back the beloved Crackdown game, which seems to have a lot of fans from the first games on Xbox 360, and bring it to Xbox One for the first time. Whole new campaign game, and also we really want to do something very innovative with a Crackdown multiplayer online version of the game as well.
What has the Xbox One opened up for you guys creatively with that extra processing power?
So the extra processing power, Crackdown was always a very physical game. It was all about physics, using physical props and things in the world, and that's kind of what we can just make the world so much more physical. So that was probably the biggest thing. And then in terms of other areas of performance, things like vehicles going to town on things players love, like our transforming agency vehicles, kind of going a bit more over the top with them. And we're actually doing a lot of strong narrative in the game as well. We've got some unique ways within the game. We're using the extra resource we have to deliver a strong narrative in the game as well.
You just mentioned the fans. What impact has their feedback over the years played in what you guys are doing in this game?
Oh, massive. Like, there's no way we could ever do a Crackdown without agility orbs, right? We absolutely had to bring the transforming vehicles along for the ride as well, So it's kind of all those things, the classic, the fact that it's a platforming game, they love that, and we recognize that. So we've been very careful about listening to the fans, what they liked, what they didn't like, and reacting to that.
Can you talk a little about what you guys are showing here at the show?
Yeah, so we're showing for the first time some early kind of playable builds of the game from the campaign game. The stuff that we're bringing, like we talked about, the stuff that we know they want to hear about, and showing that. And then for the very first time ever, we're showing kind of this cloud-powered, destruction-based multiplayer version of the game that we're building. And that seems to be going down really well because it's very different.
Talk a little about that and what that adds to the gameplay experience.
When we thought about, what is it about the Crackdown world that if we're going to bring a lot of agents together, what is it we need to achieve to land that whole Crackdown vibe? Especially because they're so physical. I mean, it's a very physical game. So you said, okay, we need to make the whole world physical. And to do that, we had to make the whole world destructible. So it's like, oh my God, how are we going to do that? So we thought, well, okay, we'd been playing around with cloud compute for a while anyway, so being a Microsoft game, and they have the Microsoft Cloud, what we did was we went out and did some really nice software which allows us to tap into cloud compute and cloud memory to really augment what we could do locally, and that's what's given us the opportunity to do something very different.
And what is that experience like when you are able to have all these different agents together in one field?
It's kind of like a Superman versus Zod fight, in a whole city, but for real. And that's great, So it's the physicality, the fighting, the physicality, the environment. So I don't care anymore if there's a guy at the top of a skyscraper in the world we're building. We can have a bunch of agents pound on the ground and bring the whole skyscraper down. So it was kind of being able to do first like that in gaming that got us excited.
When it comes to the campaign, are you guys talking at all about the story and what's going on in the world?
Not a lot, just that, it's very much kind of, going back to the traditional campaign of the original game. So it's a whole new city, but it's a whole new gang that's in there. So once again, you're going in as this, agent of justice. Justice minding is necessary. Where the police have failed, you have to go in and clean the whole city up yourself. So it's classic Crackdown in that respect, but it's just all new and all fresh.
What do you think it is about Crackdown that has stood the test of time now for this third game?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I think it's kind of the fact that, it was a little bit over the top. Right? It didn't take itself seriously. So, and the fact that the character progression, I think, was really big. So people love leveling up, right? It was like, oh my God, at level 1 I can only jump this high, but at level 5 I'm like jumping skyscrapers. I am picking up cars and using them as weapons, and that was a lovely progression we had in the game. I think that and the combat is very different, because it's all lock-on system for targeting. Be able to jump between two skyscrapers mid-air, lock onto a target below you, sub-target the gas tank, mid-air explode the gas tank, and then land on the other side, just carry on walking. I think it was kind of that just felt great, and I feel, overpowered doing that.
Imitation, they say, is the best form of flattery. Do you feel very flattered when you look at some of the other games that have, tried to do things that you guys instituted?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we kind of pioneered a little bit of verticality, going up the way in a city for the first time, and it was great to see a lot of other games doing that. We did, co-op, the whole game in co-op, start to finish, drop and drop our cups. That was great, and actually, not a lot of games are still actually doing that. So I think, that's something we want to take forward. So it's always good, I think, to say, yeah, we kind of pioneered that a little bit.